It is certainly time something was done about the situation. In St. Petersburg, Florida, I actually saw a machine on the street equipped with a sign, "What is your blood pressure?" You could put a coin in a slot and get the bad news. When you can buy reading on blood pressure like you buy gum out of a slot machine, it indicates that many people have this problem. One of the simplest methods for reducing tension is to practice the as-it-does-it attitude. Do everything more slowly, less hectically, and without pressure. My friend Branch Shuki, famous baseball man, told me that he would not choose a player, no matter how well he hits, fields, or runs it. He is guilty of overpressing. To be a successful big league baseball player there must be a flow of easy power through every action, and of course through the mind. The most effective way to hit the ball is by the easy method, where all the muscles are flexible and operating in correlated power. Try to kill the ball, and you will slice it or maybe miss it altogether. This is true in golf, in baseball, in every sport. In a World Series game many years ago, Ty Cobb, one of the greatest heroes in baseball, hit 4 home runs, a record so far as I know that has never been surpassed. Ty Cobb presented the bat with which he performed this extraordinary feat to a friend of mine. I was permitted to take this bat in my hand, which I did with considerable awe. In the spirit of the game I struck a pose, as if to bat. Doubtless my batting stance was not in any sense reminiscent of the immortal slugger. In fact, my friend, who was himself at one time a minor league baseball player, chuckled and said, "Ty Cobb would never do it that way. You are too rigid, too tense. You are obviously overtrying. You would probably strike out." It was beautiful to watch Ty Cobb. The man and the bat were one. It was a study in rhythm, and one marveled at the ease with which he got into the swing. He was a master of easy power. It is the same in all success. Analyze people who are really efficient, and they always seem to do things easily, with a minimum of effort. In so doing they release maximum power. One of my friends, a famous businessman who handles important affairs and varied interests, always seems to be at ease. He does everything efficiently and quickly, but is never in a diva. He never has that anxious, frazzled look on his face which marks people who cannot handle either their time or their work. I inquired the secret of his obviously easy power. He smiled and replied, "Oh, it isn't much of a secret. I just try to keep myself in tune with God. That's all. Every morning after breakfast," he explained, "my wife and I go into the living room for a period of quietness. One of us reads aloud some inspirational piece, to get us into the mood of meditation. It may be a poem or a few paragraphs of a book. Following that we sit quietly, each praying or meditating according to his own mood manner. Then together we affirm the thought that God is filling us with strength and quiet energy. This is a definite 15-minute ritual, and we never miss it. We couldn't get along without it. We would crack up. As a result I always seem to feel that I have more energy than I need, and more power than is required." So said this efficient man who demonstrates easy power. I know a number of men and women who practice this, or similar techniques for reducing tension. It is becoming a quite general and popular procedure nowadays. One February morning I was rushing down the long veranda of a Florida hotel with a handful of mail just in from my office in New York. I had come to Florida for a midwinter vacation, but hadn't seemed to get out of the routine of dealing with my mail the first thing in the morning. As I hurried by, headed for a couple of hours' work with that mail, a friend from Georgia who was sitting in a rocking chair with his hat partially over his eyes stopped me in my headlong rush, and said in his slow and pleasant southern drawl, "Where are you rushing for, doctor? That's no way to do down here in the Florida sunshine. Come over here and sit in one of these rocking chairs, and help me practice one of the greatest of the arts." Mystified, said, "Help you practice one of the greatest of the arts?" "Yes," he replied, "an art that is passing out. Not many people know how to do it anymore." "Well," I asked, "please tell me what it is. I don't see you practicing any art." "Oh, yes, I am," he said. "I am practicing the art of just sitting in the sun. Sit here and let the sun fall on your face. It is warm like, and it smells good. It makes you feel peaceful inside. Did you ever think about the sun?" he asked. "It never hurries, never gets excited, it just works slowly, and makes no noise. Doesn't push any buzzers, doesn't answer any telephones, doesn't ring any bells, just goes on shining, and the sun does more work in the fraction of an instant than you and I could ever do in a lifetime. Think of what it does. It causes the flowers to bloom, keeps the trees growing, warms the earth, causes the fruit and vegetables to grow, and the crops to ripen, lifts water to send back on the earth, and it makes you feel peaceful like. Quote, I find that, when I sit in the sun, and let the sun work on me, it puts some rays into me that give me energy, that is, when I take time, to sit in the sun. So throw that mail over in the corner," he said, "and sit down here with me. I did so, and when finally I went to my room and got at my mail, I finished it in no time at all. And there was a good part of the day left for vacation activities and for more sitting in the sun. Of course, I know a lot of lazy people who have been sitting in the sun all their lives and never amounted to anything. There is a difference between sitting and relaxing, and just sit in. But if you sit and relax and think about God, and get yourself in tune with Him, and open yourself to the flow of His power, then sitting is not laziness. In fact, it is about the best way to renew power. It produces driving energy, the kind of energy you drive, not the kind that drives you. The secret is to keep the mind quiet, avoiding all hectic reactions of haste, and to practice peaceful thinking. The essence of the art is to keep the tempo down, to perform your responsibilities on the basis of the most efficient conservation of energy. It is advisable to adopt 1 or 2 workable plans through the use of which you can become expert in the practice of relaxed and easy power. One of the best such plans was suggested to me by Captain Eddie Rickenbacker. A very busy man, he manages to handle his responsibilities in a manner indicating reserves of power. I found one element of his secret quite by accident. I was filming a program for television with him. We had been assured that the work could be done quickly, leaving him free to go to the many other matters on his daily agenda. However, the filming was delayed long beyond the time anticipated. I noted, however, that the captain showed no signs of agitation. He did not become nervous or anxious. He did not pace up and down, putting in frantic calls to his office. Instead, he accepted the situation gracefully. There were a couple of old rocking chairs at the studio, apparently intended for use in a set other than ours. He sat in one rocker in a very relaxed manner. I have always been a great admirer of Eddie Rickenbacker, and I commented on his lack of tension. "I know how busy you are," said, "and I marvel at the way you sit quiet, composed, and peaceful like." For myself, I was a bit disturbed, largely because I regretted to take so much of Captain Rickenbacker's time. "How can you be so imperturbable?" I asked. He laughingly replied, "Oh, I just practice what you preach. Come on, easy does it. Sit down here beside me." I pulled out the other rocking chair, and did a little relaxing on my own. Then I said, "Eddie, I know you have some technique to attain this impressive serenity. Tell me about it, please." He is a modest man, but because of my persistence he gave me a formula which he says he uses frequently. I now use it myself, and it is very effective. It may be described as follows. First, collapse physically. Practice this several times a day. Let go every muscle in the body. Conceive of yourself as a jellyfish, getting your body into complete looseness. Form a mental picture of a huge burlap bag of potatoes. Then mentally cut the bag, allowing the potatoes to roll out. Think of yourself as the bag. What is more relaxed than an empty burlap bag? The second element in the formula is to drain the mind. Several times each day drain the mind of all irritation, all resentment, disappointment, frustration, and annoyance. Unless you drain the mind frequently and regularly, these unhappy thoughts will accumulate until a major blasting out process will be necessary. Keep the mind drained of all factors which would impede the flow of relaxed power. Third, think spiritually. To think spiritually means to turn the mind at regular intervals to God. At least 3 times a day lift up your eyes and to the hills. This keeps you in tune with God's harmony. It refills you with peace. This 3-point program greatly impressed me, and I have been practicing it for some months. It is an excellent method for relaxing and living on the basis of easy does it. From my friend Dr. Zadela Berkowitz, of New York City, I have learned much of the art of working relaxed. Often when under pressure, with an office full of patients and telephone calls coming in, he will suddenly stop, lean against his desk, and talk to the Lord in a manner both natural and respectful. I like the style of his prayer. He tells me that it runs something like this. "Look, Lord, I am pushing myself too hard. I am getting jittery. Here I am counseling people to practice quietness, now I must practice it. Touch me with your healing peace. Give me composure, quietness, strength, and conserve my nervous energy, so that I can help these people who come to me." He stands quietly for a minute or 2. Then he thanks the Lord and proceeds with full, but easy power to do his work. Often in making sick calls about the city he finds himself in a traffic jam. He has a most interesting method of using these potentially irritating delays as opportunities to relax. Shutting off his engine, he slumps in his seat, putting his head back, closing his eyes, and has even been known to go to sleep. He says there is no reason to be concerned about going to sleep, because the strident honking of horns will awaken him when traffic begins to move. These interludes of complete relaxation in the midst of traffic last for only a minute or 2, but they have energy renewal value. It is surprising how many minutes or fractions of minutes during the day you can use to rest where you are. If even in such fractional periods you deliberately draw on Goddess power, you can maintain adequate relaxation. It isn't the length of relaxation time that produces power, it is the quality of the experience. I am told that Roger Babson, the famous statistician, frequently goes into an empty church and sits quietly. Perhaps he reads 1 or 2 hymns, and in so doing finds rest and renewal. Dale Carnegie, under tension, goes to a church near its New York City office, to spend a quarter hour in prayerful meditation. He says he leaves his office for this purpose when busiest. This demonstrates control of time, rather than being controlled by it.